Hello and welcome to this virtual session. We're glad you can join us today. Before we get started, there's a few housekeeping items we'd like to go over with you now. Firstly, you can resize the webinar windows to cater to your viewing preferences. You can maximise, minimise and drag the windows to your preferred viewing size. If you look at the bottom middle of your screen, you can click on the widgets that you'll need to get the most out of this virtual experience. Secondly, Microsoft specialists are on hand to answer your questions in real time. So feel free to type in your questions using the Q&A window and we'll answer them as soon as we can. Lastly, we've provided some additional resources for you to supplement your learning. You can access them by clicking on the links in this section. Without further ado, I'll hand over to our speakers.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Lee and I will be your Microsoft Technical Trainer for the next 2 days as we cover Microsoft Dynamics 365 fundamentals. In today's session, we'll be starting off with the first 4 modules. In the first module, we'll take a look at just an overview of Dynamics 365 and how it can help improve your business as well as streamline operations. Then, in Module 2 and 3, we'll start to look at the model-driven apps, which include sales, marketing, customer service, and field service. We'll close out the day by taking a look at how you can take all the data collected by Dynamics 365 and analyze and generate different reports. Because this is a fundamentals course, we're not going to be diving too much into the technical or the how to work with the program, but more the purpose of this course is to give you the ability to describe and explain what the benefits are and how you could use Dynamics 365 in your own organization. So this course is to just provide a general overview and to describe the benefits of how adopting Dynamics 365 can benefit your organization. Since we'll be spending the next 2 days together, I want to just tell you a little bit more about myself. Like I said, my name is Chelsea Lee, and I am your Microsoft Technical Trainer. I'm actually based in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have some pictures of me up on the screen. I love exploring the area, going on hikes. You can see my 3 dogs there. I love animals. And yes, that is my rhino. Well, it's not my rhino, but it's me feeding a rhino in San Diego. So when I'm not gallivanting, hanging out with all the cool animals like a lemur or my puppies, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's what I look at, like most of the time with a headset, with my dogs in the back, delivering trainings just like this one. I do have my LinkedIn on there. Please feel free to connect with me. If you have any questions about Dynamics, I would love to connect with you after this class. Like I said at the beginning of class, this is a 2-day session. Today we'll be covering modules 1 through 4, looking specifically at an introduction to Dynamics, our model-driven apps, and then how you can connect and analyze your data in Dynamics 365. And then tomorrow, we'll take a look at specifically our finance and operation apps, also some security and integrations. Now, this course is tied specifically to an exam, and that exam is the MB901, and that is the Dynamics 365 Fundamentals. If you are interested in studying for that exam, which I hope you all are, there are 4 main areas that you'll need to study for. And you can see the weightings below. So first we have identifying the platform components for Dynamics 365. That's actually going to account for a little over of 1/3 of your exam. So like I said, that this is just an introduction for you to understand the concepts. So here what they'll be looking for is, if you get a case study, can you recognize which component of Dynamics 365 would be best suited for that case study? We'll also take a look at some of the artificial intelligence and mixed reality options within Dynamics. That's going to account for about 10 to 15% of your exam. And then about 1/4 to 1/3 of your exam is going to be made up of model-driven apps and your finance and operation apps. Now, one of the things that I always like to point out when you take the exam is it's going to be different for anyone. Different for everyone. And it's a whole pool of questions. So your weights are going to vary and the number of questions you're going to get are varying from person to person. You do need to score a minimum of 700 points on the exam for a passing grade. And this certificate does not expire. Now, the information covered in today's session is a great starting point for your studying when it comes to this exam. But I highly encourage you to check out our full learning path, which includes supplemental videos, links to official documentation, and really good, great examples. And you can find that all at aka.ms/D365FunPath. That's aka.ms/D365FunPath. And I would actually encourage you, if you want to follow along as we go through the next 2 days, that might be a great way for you to take notes or make mental notes for yourself to go back and revisit later. Well, that is the exam. Without further ado, I say let's go ahead and jump into our first module and actually get to know Dynamics 365. Now, this first module, what we're really looking for is just for you to have an understanding of how Dynamics 365 has supported organizations as we've entered what's called our digital transformation. And we'll also actually start to look at the role of mixed reality and artificial intelligence. So our first lesson is just talking about the business application of Dynamics 365. Digital disruption is something that's forcing every company in every industry to reimagine themselves. And really, this is part of a transition. It's about how businesses engage with their customers from their business processes and how they can take advantage of data and intelligence. And this is what we call that industries in transition. I mean, first, let's look at the retail industry. This is a great example of an industry who's been reinventing itself with new customer experiences integrated across marketing, online sales, in-store sales, and merchandising. And I mean, even with manufacturing, it's truly innovating how they've streamlined production and created connected products. I mean, with these advances in technology, we're seeing the focus of healthcare moving from disease control and management to now proactive wellness. Financial services, we're seeing the end of bankers' hours. And this is because consumers are demanding access to their funds 24/7 from any location and from any device. This is what digital disruption is. And as we move into what we're calling the digital transformation, to disrupt and innovate, industries have to take on a strategy that connects their customers, connects their employees and products and operations as effectively as possible. And this streamlines their businesses to respond to their customers' demands, pulling data across the organization so that analytics can start to hunt. Now, a concrete connected business application strategy and implementation can support industries that are looking to disrupt. So when you think about what the real connection point between organizations, it's the data and the applications that are enabling the forward motion. Because what we have now are interconnected business applications that are fundamental to ensure the most robust data is being generated and harnessed so that customers have ideal experiences. Employees are empowered to do their best. And operations can ensure effectiveness and efficiency across business. And what this does is that best products and best services are being both developed and delivered. And this is what we call the digital feedback loop. And this is a framework that we use to highlight how digital transformation is enabled. And when you look at the center, what's there? Data. Data is coming out of everything. Every single product at this point is being wired up with telemetry and the ability to collect data. For example, my thermostat at my house knows when I'm changing the temperature. It knows when I'm home. It knows when I'm upstairs or downstairs. Every motor that's manufactured at this point is emitting some type of telemetry. I mean, every time I browse the web, there's telemetry being created. And so this torrent of information allows us to better understand our customers, our operations, and the use of our products and services. And this is fuel for transformation, which then allows us to go mine for intelligence, predict what customers may need, and understand when a piece of equipment is on its way to a challenging spot or even to failure before it gets there. Taking all of this information, these predictions, and then feeding that back into your business processes. This is where change is occurring. So that's where we get Dynamics 365. We have this unified solution, this CRM, this ERP that has come together to work on desktop computers, mobile devices. It's adaptable to multiple different businesses. And on the top half, we have our model-driven apps, which include we have commerce, sales, marketing, customer service, field service. On the bottom, we have some of our finance, which include human resources, supply chain management, finance. And all of that is supported by the Power Platform. And we'll take a look at the Power Platform later on today. But what we have there is we have our Power BI, which is great for building intelligent graphs, very engaging graphs. Power Automate, which is there to help you streamline and automate some of those mundane tasks that might get you hung up or slow you down. Power Apps, which makes it so you no longer have to be a developer to create applications to help solve business problems. We have Power Virtual Agents, which allow you to help your customers any time of the day. And then AI Builder, AI is something that I just think is so fascinating as we talk about with Dynamics because it integrates with so many of the different services. And we'll also look at some of the mixed reality that comes with it. But this is Dynamics 365 fundamentals. Moving into what artificial intelligence is and how it can support, well, artificial intelligence, really what this is a set of algorithms that computers use to analyze data to make some type of conclusion. And it's usually done through reasoning, understanding, or interacting. So let's say, for example, there's an environmental conservation organization that's looking for volunteers to help identify and catalog different species of wildflowers, and they're using their phone app. Well, the animation you see on your screen shows how machine learning can be used to enable this scenario. So first, we have our team of botanists and the data scientists who are collecting the sample of the wildflowers. Then they're labeling them. Once they label them, they're using an algorithm to process the relationships. Then it's actually creating this model. So when new samples are found by volunteers, the model can identify the correct species and then apply that label. So when we look at how Dynamics can be used in Dynamics 365, we're able to take all of this data that we are collecting. Remember, we said that telemetry is being emitted from a number of different spaces all over our businesses. And we're able to take all that data, and through different connectors, we're going in and we're using those algorithms to basically create customer insights. So whether it's behavioral or demographic or transactional, we're able to take all of that data and then send it through our machine learning and artificial intelligence. And then we can take action from that, whether it's changing our marketing plans or changing a new business strategy or making sure that we are filling in the gaps where maybe we weren't delivering the best products or the best customer service. This is how AI can help support you in your business when it comes to Dynamics 365. And as we look at artificial intelligence in Dynamics 365, we start to explore what we call mixed reality. And mixed reality is the result of blending the physical world with the digital world. And this is really the next evolution in human, computer, and environmental interaction. And what I think is really cool about this is it starts to unlock possibilities that before was just in our imaginations. And this is really made possible because we have such great advancements in computer vision, graphical processing power, display technologies, and different input systems. So the graph on the screen, you can see how humans, the environment, and computer processing all interact. So first we have the human input. So that's that green circle. Human input happens through a variety of means. This could be keyboards, your mouse, touch, ink, voice, even Kinect skeletal tracking. Now, when we look at the interaction between computer and environment, this is referred to what we call as perception. We create perception by capturing environmental input, and this can be head tracking, your surfaces, so spatial mapping, boundaries, ambient lighting, environmental sound, object recognition, and location. So when we combine all of these different perceptions, we create a mixed reality experience, because the movement that's happening in the physical world is translating to movement that's happening in the digital world. And those boundaries between the physical world, start to then blend with the computer world. Now, since mixed reality blends both physical and digital worlds, these two realities define polar ends, and this is what we refer to as the mixed reality spectrum. Now, on the left-hand side, we have physical reality, and this is what we humans, I'm assuming I don't have any robots on the call, but we humans exist on the right-hand side, and we have the corresponding digital reality. So we have our near physical reality. So this means that you as a user, you're remaining present in your physical environment, and you're never made to believe that you've ever left that environment. Now, when we get into that fully mixed reality, this is where we start to blend the real world and digital world. And we see that a lot with the HoloLens. Now, a near digital world, this is where you would experience a fully digital environment and you're completely unaware of the physical environment around them. So that might be your virtual reality. We have a number of different strategies that focus on mixed reality here at Microsoft. So we want to be able to take that immersive mixed reality experience and apply it to users in your organization where they can use it to solve real world problems. And this can come in the form of training experiences, virtual product design, collaboration. And we actually have 3 different, tools that we'll be discussing today. So we have our holographic devices. So that might be the HoloLens. And this is something that's characterized by the device's ability to place digital content in the real world. So you can see from the picture, we have a factory worker working on a motor, and she is having a mixed reality experience. She is working on the motor in the physical world. However, we have a digital guide, and that's what we call our Dynamics 365 guide, that's actually walking her through what the next step is and providing annotation through the HoloLens that gives her the ability to follow step by step. We also have immersive devices, and these are characterized by that device's ability to create a sense of presence, and it's hiding the physical world. So that's going to be more of your virtual reality. But really, we want to make sure that we can create an experience that's going to help solve a problem. So like HoloLens is a really great tool because it allows you to view mixed reality. You can troubleshoot, repair, and perform your tasks with confidence and speed because you have the ability to pull critical information like we see here in the picture of step by step. And part of that is through guides. So this is where you can actually set up in your organization guides to help your employees with those step-by-step processes, and it can even include little instructions. We also have our remote assist. This is a really great way for your employees to collaborate with one another without being in the same physical space. So whether you're connecting through Teams, you can actually show and annotate and work side by side with someone that you're not actually in the same room with. It's really cool, and we'll take a little bit more of a look at remote assistant guides tomorrow when we look at our field service. So that is kind of an introduction to the digital transformation that's going on in the world and how Dynamics 365 can help. And the rest of this 2-day session is going to be looking specifically at the applications that can help support the digital transformation and disrupt the industry in your own business, your own organization, your own industry. And that can all be done through Microsoft Dynamics 365, which is built on the Power Platform. Again, this was just meant to serve as an introduction. We'll start diving deeper into some of the other modules, but I would like to encourage you to check out some of the different study material. Again, that's available at aka.ms/D365FunPath. In this module, we've had an opportunity to look at why you would use Dynamics 365 to advance your business goals. Let's go ahead and move into our next module where we'll actually start diving deeper into some of those module-driven apps. We're now going to start to dive into the heart of Dynamics 365, which includes our model-driven apps. Module 2, we're going to be spending about an hour looking at our sales and marketing. We'll be looking at some of the sales, the processes, and the pipelines it can help you out with, and how really better to engage with your customers, both through marketing and through your sales process. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Dynamics 365 Sales. Now, with Dynamics 365 Sales, you're able to move beyond disconnected data, and it allows you to gain real, measurable business value. And the way that we get this business value through Dynamics 365 Sales is by breaking down data silos. And it's designed to create unified relationship through your data across your Dynamics 365 platform, LinkedIn, as well as your Office products. And what's nice about Dynamics 365s is it's going to help your sales team build strong relationships with their customers. And they're going to get a number of different insights, and essentially, and most importantly when it comes to sales, you're able to close your sales faster. Now, one of the key benefits of Dynamics 365 Sales is that it empowers your team to make personal engagement with the customers and really drive business. And today, the process of engaging customers really can't be a one-size-fits-all. It has to be adaptive across all the different touch points within the context of who your customer is and what they're doing. Microsoft Dynamics enables your company to build customer trust, loyalty, and insight, while also enabling your sales, service, and marketing team to be as productive as possible. And with Dynamics 365, it's helping your company deliver exceptional customer experiences. And some of the ways that it does this is keeping track of your accounts and contacts. You're able to nurture your sales from lead to order. You can create sales collateral, create marketing lists and campaigns. And this is something that I think is really cool. You can even follow service cases that are associated with specific accounts, maybe to look for different opportunities. Now, when we look at the sales process, sales processes are going to vary from organization to organization. What we have here is a 5-step process that we're going to just use in our example. So we first have our qualify stage. And in our qualify stage, that's where we're going to get a lead. And a lead can come from really anywhere. It can come from an event, it can come from an ad, but essentially as a lead is like, this could be a potential for business. So when we're in the qualify stage, what your sales team is doing is that they're deciding whether or not that this lead is something that they should be pursuing. And when they pursue that lead, we then have the opportunity to qualify that lead. And we'll take a little bit a look in the program in just a minute here so you can see what that step looks like within Dynamics. But from the lead stage, we go into our opportunity stage. And in the opportunity stage, that's when we are then moved from qualified to develop. And here is where you're creating the account information. This is where you're building the relationship with your customer. Whether it's creating a brand new account, linking to an additional, linking to an already existing contact. But this is where you're doing your research. This is really where your sales work begins. And, think about your sales manager. They want to optimize the opportunity management process. They want to understand what their customers look like, what business value they can add. And the way that they do that is through the opportunity stage. Now, if everything goes well and you move to a quote, so that's kind of like going from the develop to the propose, you create a quote, say this is how we can help you, whether it's by providing product catalogs, your pricing, your discounting, all of that. Then if the customer accepts it, we then go into closing, we create the order, then we go into the fulfilled once it's fulfilled. And we'll look into that a little bit more here in a minute. But I want to focus specifically on that lead to opportunity, because that can sometimes be where it gets complicated for your sales team. Because building a healthy pipeline can honestly be one of the most difficult and time-consuming tasks that sellers and managers do. Sales pipeline, they affect everything from manufacturing schedules to even staffing decisions. So Dynamics 365 Sales has a built-in feature to support the sales functions. And this includes qualifying leads, managing sales opportunities, all of this to build a healthy sales pipeline. And your sales manager or your administrator, you can actually configure these features to support your sales organization. So what we have here on the screen is actually a breakdown between that qualify stage and that develop stage. So it doesn't just go from, we get a lead and then we qualify or disqualify it. But instead, we actually start with, okay, we got a business card. We have let's say our sales rep, Tom, gets a business card at a trade show. So what they're doing is they're entering in that business card information into Dynamics 365. But here's one little helpful thing that Dynamics has is there's actually a business card scanner. So while Tom is in the field, he doesn't actually have to go through and enter in that information. He can actually use his phone under the mobile app, take a picture of that business card, and using artificial intelligence, Dynamics 365 can actually say whether or not this account's already created. If not, can create one, can link it. But we'll get into that in a little bit. That's one of the really cool features of Dynamics. But essentially, when we're in that qualify stage, Tom got that business card, and it's just a lead. It doesn't mean that's actual sales opportunity yet. So they're entering that lead into Dynamics. That's where we're able to do the research. Maybe he's connected to LinkedIn. You can see where that organization has been in the news. So this is all to help manage the pipeline. So then maybe Tom is back in the office and he's doing his follow-up after the trade show, and he calls that lead. Well, I don't know about you, but organizations change all the time. And so maybe Tom moves on to a different account or he gets a promotion. Well, if Tom called, the next person to pick up, you don't want to just say like, oh, hey, we talked to at that trade show. Well, Tom entered his notes into Dynamics 365 and using the CRM feature. And so those notes, who he spoke with, are all captured. So no matter if it's Tom, his manager, or whoever's following up on the account, they know exactly where Tom left off. But let's just say, Tom stays in his role, so he called the lead, and then he's actually able to interact with other colleagues, maybe who have interacted with that organization, or maybe other individuals at the account. So then we can see that Tom actually scheduled a face-to-face with the lead, and, the customer said, yep, I want to move forward. I think this is interested. Then Tom is qualifying that lead. And once that lead is qualified, it moves on to the opportunity stage. Now, this whole process here is what we call a business process flow. And what it does, it actually guides you through each stage of your organization's procedures. So you know exactly what's required in each stage of the procedure, and you have the necessary data and the tools to execute it. So let's say, for example, here, Tom's organization requires a face-to-face meeting with a lead before it can become an opportunity. So before a lead can be qualified to move into the opportunity stage, a face-to-face meeting has to be scheduled. Doesn't matter if there's 10 phone calls, it will not become an opportunity unless the business flow process is met. And again, that's completely customizable from organization to organization. Now let's actually go ahead and jump into the portal and take a look at what this business process flow looks like. So I am logged into my Dynamics 365 sales portal. And you can see from my screen that I have actually set up my portal to take me straight to my dashboards. Now, before we get into how you can manage your sales pipeline, let's just go on a little bit of a tour of Dynamics 365 sales. So over here in the navigation pane, this is where I can see my different accounts. So that would be an organization that might be working with a company I'm working with. Contacts are individuals within that organization. And what's really nice about Dynamics 365 for sales is that contacts can actually be linked or moved depending on if they move to different companies. So I know many salespeople, they will actually stay in contact with an individual, and so as they change jobs or change roles, oftentimes that they're introduced to new customers or new accounts. So that's where you can see your customer detail here. Underneath the sales tab, that's where we can see our leads. So remember, our leads are anything from, whether you got a business card, a respond to an ad, really anything can be a lead. Basically, it's an introduction to what could potentially be an opportunity. You can see I have my opportunities here. I also can list out my competitors. We also talked about some of the collateral of how you can manage quotes, orders, invoices, products. You can upload sales literature. We'll talk a little bit more about marketing and some of the different goals a little bit later, but all of that here is available in your navigation pane. And with Dynamics 365, they try to make everything very simple and with very few clicks. So here I can see my social dashboard, so I can see my sales pipeline, my current open leads, and I can see my source, whether it's from an advertisement, a trade show, web. Right now, my opportunities, closed opportunities, as well as activities. And activities is something that's so incredibly helpful for managing your day-to-day calendar. And as we talk about integrations later on today, you can actually sync this with your Outlook calendar, and that way your tasks are automatically scheduled into your Outlook calendar. You can see here are for my dashboard, here are some tasks that I have. Whether it's a phone call or I need to follow up with something, discuss a new opportunity, all of that is here. But let's go ahead and go through the lead to opportunity qualification process that we just discussed. So I am going to go up first to our accounts just so you can see where my list of accounts are. So say that I was working with, let's say, AdventureWorks. I can then come into AdventureWorks and I can see a timeline of everything that's happened within this organization, whether an opportunity was completed, some different product features, but you see I have all of their contact information. I have my primary contact, so Nancy Anderson is who I've been working with. So everything within Dynamics 365 Sales is very easy to get to, very easy to navigate, and it's very intuitive. And it also syncs with many of the other model-driven apps, which include marketing, which we'll talk about next, field service, customer service, all of that's here. Up at the top, you'll notice the navigation page stays the same. So I have my save options. If I wanted to create something new, it'll give me an opportunity to create a new account. But I don't want to necessarily do that right now. But you can see that this navigation pane stays the same. Now, one of the cool things is I can actually export basically anything in Dynamics to Excel. And this will come in really handy later on when we take a look of how you can analyze your data and create different reports within Dynamics. But let's go ahead and go back to our leads and how we can manage that process. So I am going to click on leads, and you can see I have my new existing leads right here. I'm going to just go ahead and create a new one. And this is where I can create a topic. And you'll notice up here at the top, this should look really familiar. So I have my lead, my qualify, develop, propose, close. But because I have that business flow process already created, also known as your sales playbook, I can't move on to the develop stage until my qualify is met. So you can see that I have to then go through and I have some minimum things that have to be done. So whether are they an existing contact, an existing account, purchase time frame, and these are all things that in this scenario, the sales manager would actually be able to set up to help guide their sales team through the process. And this is really important because it ensures that everyone throughout the organization is following the same process. And that way, during the qualify stage, like when we get to the proposal, if we didn't know what the purchase time frame was in the beginning during the qualify stage, and we get to proposal and we'll say, oh, well, no, we're not looking to do this for another year and a half, we potentially wasted a lot of time that could be spent on other accounts who are closer to their purchase date. So this is a really great way for you to very quickly go in and enter information. But let's actually create a brand new lead. So the topic could be interested in smartwatch. All right. And of course, typing in front of everybody always makes me nervous. And you can see here I have these red asterisks. That indicates that this is a required field. So I must create that field. I must enter information into that field in order to move on. So I now need to create a new field. So I'm going to do Cameron. Oh, and you can see I've used Cameron before. So Cameron's automatically going to pop up. Now I'm going to use a job title, and they are production director. And of course, spelling is also important. Now for their mobile phone, I can have it as, just for this case, I'm going to do a fake phone number. All right, so what this is going to do is actually create a new contact. So I can actually hit save right here. And now that lead has been created. Now, if I wanted to use an existing company, now if I wanted to include any additional company information, this is where I can add it here. But then the timeline, this is where it's really helpful. So any notes, anything that I do, whether I have an appointment, an email, or a phone call, I can then track all of that information here. So whether the phone number I call, the description, followed up on meeting, and again, the information that you include will change depending on your organization. Oh, so I'm requiring a subject, so I can just say follow up is my subject. And if there is anything particular, you can see I now have a phone call that was coming from me. You can sync this with your Outlook, so any outgoing emails or incoming emails can be sent here. But I also need to make sure that they are an existing contact. Oh, so I have Cameron here, an existing account. They are with AdventureWorks. So you can see if I can just search that, oh my goodness, magnifying glass. I'm able to search up the account. So I can select AdventureWorks here, purchase time frame, next quarter, estimated budget, let's just say 10,000. Purchase process is, I'm not sure what their purchase process is with. And I have I identified a decision maker? Maybe I have to do that before I have to move on. And then I have now qualified that lead. So I'm going to go ahead and move to our next stage. And I'm going to hit save. Now so I've now have my lead to opportunity, and I can click up here and go to my qualify stage. Yep, I have an account. I want to change this to an opportunity and click yes. So now we're moving from our lead or our develop stage our qualify stage into our develop stage. And now you can see I've automatically qualified this. And then I can go through and follow our sales process. So customer need, proposed solution. So you can see here I have my playbook all the way through. And say, for example, I finished something early, so maybe I've developed the proposal already, I can mark that as complete. But it will actually not allow me to move on until I've completed everything. So customer need, new order, proposed solution, place order. All right, I've identified the stakeholders, competitors. So then I'll go on to the next stage. I've identified the sales team, complete internal review. I presented the proposal. Next stage. Okay, I've completed the final proposal, marking as complete. Confirmed decision. Let's say that they did it tomorrow. Ooh, I even have to send them a thank you. And then I file a debrief. Now, if I do have anybody from a sales team on the call, wouldn't it be great if this is with a full sale process of how quickly it went through? But again, this is all here to get you to walk you through and make sure, even from sending a thank you note. So this is actually where I can close this one as close as one. And I can see that I won the actual revenue, the close date, was there a competitor, or any other descriptions. So this is a really great tool for managing your sales process. What we saw in the portal was sales automation. And with sales automation, essentially Dynamics 365 is making the process of building your sales contracts more efficient because you're taking advantage of the different collaboration tools. So whether you're using LinkedIn, your Office 365 products, existing data, maybe in a different program, all of that is going to be funneled into the insights that's going to help you with your prospecting, engagement, productivity, performance, and that's going to add business value. And all these different integrations let you use the sales management tools in Dynamics 365 to manage the process, such as identifying what to sell, what defining details you need to include in your sales pitch, and it also helps manage the negotiation process. You can use Dynamics 365 to build and deliver sales contracts to your customers. You can even build sales quotes by using different integrated product catalogs. So essentially, by taking advantage of the features within Dynamics 365 Sales, whether it's the product catalog, quotes, orders, invoices, you can make all of your sales processes, whether it's creating, managing, or completing these sales orders, very simple and very repeatable. And that's one of the things that is really important when it comes to thinking about the customer experience, is you want it to be consistent across the organization. So one of the other things that's really helpful within Dynamics 365 is the pipeline management. And we saw that when we were in the portal. You have the ability to capture information about the sales lead. So whether you've worked with them in the past or maybe how they heard about you, different ways to engage with the lead, and then finally you can qualify the lead as an opportunity. And as we saw in the portal, maybe you disqualify a lead because at that moment it wasn't the right time for the customer, but maybe 6 months, 8 months, even 2 years later, you can then go back and requalify that lead. For our next section, I actually want to look at some of the tools within Dynamics 365 to help just continuously streamline that process. Now, we've talked about that business card scanner in that example with Tom, but it's a really helpful tool, and especially if your organization attends a lot of events or trade shows, because of the mobile device and how you can use it, whether you're connected to the internet or not connected to the internet, you can take that business card scanner and very quickly use your phone just to scan every single business card. And the artificial intelligence that's built into Dynamics 365 will actually scan those business cards, pull out all that information, and then upload it into Dynamics, whether it's creating a new account or linking it to an existing one. We took a look at the business process flows. This is really just, again, a guide for each stage of your organization's procedures. We have a relationship assistant. This is something that's really helpful, and again, it's using part of that artificial intelligence, but it can actually help gently nudge, is what we'll call it, your sales team
And it can help provide them with reminders of whether it's upcoming activities or due dates, or perhaps notifications of if a customer is listed in the news and you want to send a congratulations. Essentially, it's using all of this information to help nurture the sales process. We also have the record timeline, and we saw that timeline when I created that phone call. Basically, it allows you to see all the communication that's gone on with that account or that person in one single place. You don't have to go through clicking to find all the different information.
One of the other things that I think is really important to take a look at when it comes to Dynamics 365 is the sales insights. And this is a really powerful AI tool because with sales insights, it allows you to easily identify what is and isn't working with your customers. It can actually analyze your customers' emotions in emails and phone transcripts and essentially record what the sentiment is. So if a customer isn't responding well to a potential sales pitch, it allows you to identify it. So we can see here, like 20 sales calls have a noticeably higher negative sentiment. So this is really interesting to take a look at, and it can help your sales team make better decisions. Even as a manager, you can help coach your team more effectively because you as a leader can have flags set up of saying, when we reach 20% that have a negative interaction, it's alerted on your dashboard. So essentially, this is just a really great tool. It can also help you make different connections. So perhaps you have a colleague working on a different account, but your contact worked there previously. Maybe you can get a warmer introduction from a colleague who has already had that active relationship. So essentially, this allows you to get more done by optimizing your email interactions. It gives you contextual, real-time prompts, and then suggests ways for you to take next steps, whether it's entering in notes, but it allows you to monitor and nurture your customer relationships. And it even provides a relationship health score. And as you can see, you can sort by individual, the team, last 24 hours, 7 days. So everything is very customizable, and you can export it to Excel if you'd like.